Hi guys, and welcome to my latest video. I've had a few comments on my last few videos, and I've noticed on the Facebook groups as well. There's been obviously a lot of questions asked by sellers about sourcing stock. Which is the best place to source stock from? So people often hear me mentioning I picked this up at auction, or I picked this up at the boot fair or wherever, and it comes down to what sources, where do you get your stock from? What's the best place? And my opinion on the matter is pretty simple. I think when you're looking at sourcing stock, it should come down to the accessibility, the efficiency, and the cost of sourcing that stock. So, for example, charity shops, they're the most accessible because they're open 5, 6, sometimes 7 days a week. So you can go to a charity shop at any time. You can go as many times as you like. You can go either you could go just once a week, you can go 5 times a week, you can go twice a day. I've actually had some of my best pickups where I've been to the charity shop in the morning and there's not been anything there. And I've been in the area, so I've just popped in again in the afternoon and I found something amazing. It's actually happened to me. So, accessibility is great. Charity shops are fantastic for that. You can go as many times as you like. Now, the efficiency aspect is quite different. It's very time consuming because obviously the charity shops here in the UK are very small. You're not going to see a massive amount of stock in one place. So unless you're fortunate enough to have a ton of charity shops next to each other, but even that can be a bit slow because even if you have to drive a few minutes here and there, it all adds up. So the efficiency there isn't amazing because you could be doing a lot of traveling, especially if your charity shops are spaced out. And finally, when it comes to the cost, it's probably one of the more expensive ways of getting hold of stock. If you compare it to boot fairs, if you compare it to auctions, and even eBay sometimes, even online, that it's probably one of the more expensive ways. So there is a downside to that. However, sometimes as with everything, there are always exceptions as well. So that's what I would say in terms of charity shops. Next place that you can go is online. Online again, if you look at accessibility, that's the most accessible form of getting hold of stock. You've got Facebook groups, you've got Gumtree, you've got eBay itself. You can get some absolutely brilliant deals on eBay, especially when you're looking out for auctions, looking out for local collections, job lots. So that's another great source of stock. Again, when it comes to efficiency as well, it can be very efficient if you get your processes right. So, for example, if you're someone that's into eBay sniping, rather than sitting there or setting your alarm to wake up at silly times because someone's ending an auction at 2 in the morning, if you use a sniping program, it can automate that process for you, and make sure that it puts in the bid at the last moment at the highest price you're willing to pay to give you that little edge. Or you can obviously just put in your highest bid on eBay that you want. So there is that, and also when it comes to things like Gumtree as well and Facebook, you can put in keyword searches, so it can notify you when a certain keyword that you're looking for. So, for example, Nintendo or something like that, it'll pop up. It'll send you an email to let you know that hey, a sale ad has turned up with this keyword that you searched for. So again, online, it's fantastic. Don't underestimate it. Then we've got the classic, which is boot fairs. Boot fairs are, in my opinion, probably on balance the nicest way of getting stock because they're not accessible. They're not the most accessible places because, firstly, they're only on during certain season. They're not accessible all the time. They're only on once a week, if that, and they're weather dependent. And plus, physically, sometimes for some people, they're not accessible because if they're out in some farm somewhere, unless you're driving, you're going to have trouble getting to the boot fair. So accessibility is not good. However, efficiency is great because you can pick up boatloads of stock. You can pick up tons and tons of stock. It's easy to spend a couple £100 at a boot fair within a couple of hours tops, at a single boot fair, and you will not only get tons of stock, you will get it probably cheaper than you'll find it in any other source of stock. So in that respect, it's amazing. It's very, very efficient, and it's very cost effective. So boot fairs obviously are great, but you've got to bear in mind that you're going to be working within a time frame. And if you're new to this and you're trying to build up inventory, you're lucky it's March now, so the boot fair season is pretty much about to start. But in the quiet months, if you started then, you'd have obviously struggled to build up an inventory from boot fairs because they become far between, or the quality of them drops in the colder months. Now, finally, auctions. When I talk about auctions, I mean actual auction houses, people that do house clearances, general auctions, people that do antiques, collectibles. And again, these are now more accessible than they've ever been. You can now go online, type in auctions, UK auctions, for example. Google will help you and find you websites such as ibidder.com, which is connected to a ton of auction houses across the country, and auctions are ending at all times with all kinds of items, and so accessibility is great. Now, unfortunately, the downside to this accessibility is the prices you're going to be paying are going to be much higher than if you find an auction house which is local, which doesn't do delivery across the UK. Because a lot of auction houses now will let you bid online, and for an extra charge they will deliver. But bear in mind, I don't think it's the wisest way of buying, because not only will you be paying all the regular auction fees such as the hammer price, such as the VAT on the hammer price, the buyer's premium, the VAT on the buyer's premium, they often also have an online bid charge as well, and then there's VAT on the online bid charge, and then you're going to pay for delivery. So it's not the most efficient way unless you're getting really amazing job lots of stuff, or unless you're buying so much that you're getting a pallet delivered to your property, in which case it can be worth it. And I've done that in the past, and I've gotten tons of stock in one go, bam, on a pallet. Costs about 50, 60 quid to get it delivered, but as long as you're happy with paying that according to what you've paid for your goods, then go for it. And now, in my opinion, the best auctions are the ones which are local, which don't sell online, which are kind of, you go there, you bid in the room, and you have to take it away. But even those don't. They've got a few downsides. They're not very accessible because just finding them isn't the easiest thing. Sometimes it's just a matter of luck. It's a matter of local knowledge, looking at your local paper, looking at your local church notice board or your community centre notice board to see whether there is one that's going around. So that accessibility is an issue. Now, then you've got the issue that dealers, there will be dealers at every auction, because that people like to buy in bulk. You often get job lots with, like a box of bric-a-brac, and if you've searched through it and you can find some things, you can bet that there's going to be other dealers in that room who are also going to be buying. Also, a lot of these are open to the public, so then you get collectors also bidding. So the prices can go higher. However, considering that you can buy in bulk, the prices are pretty good. Now, that's a pretty good side, obviously, that you can buy in bulk and you can buy at low prices, which means you get really good, value per item. Now, the other side of this is it's still not as easy as that sounds, because you can go to an auction one week and it be ram-packed full of great stock, which means there'll be higher competition, other dealers bidding, so your prices are going to go higher. Then the next week you might go and it'll be rubbish because they'll have half the amount of lots in to sell that they did the week before. And yes, your competition will be lower, but that's because the quality of item for sale is going to be a lot lower as well. So you've got to bear that in mind. And what if you go there and you only find one or two lots worth bidding? You've then got to work out, is it worth me sitting here for 2 or 3 hours whilst they go through all the different lots just for me to pick up this one lot or these two lots? Is it worth it? Is that good time management, in the sense of how much profit am I going to make from buying those items plus the time I've spent? Would my time be better spent just surfing eBay and putting in a few goof bids or something, and sniping a few items? So you've got to bear all that in mind. So the point really of this video, this ramble as it were, is there are plenty and plenty of sources of stock, and I don't necessarily think one is massively superior than the other. If I was to force to pick one, personally for me, it would probably be the boot fair, because low risk. It's very cheap. Yes, it's not accessible, but it ticks every other box. It's efficient. You go to one place, you can stock up, and you can do really well. So for me, boot fairs would be the number one source of stock. In my humble opinion. So bear that in mind, guys. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video about my views of different ways of sourcing stock for your reselling business. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below. And I'll catch you guys in my next video. Thank you for watching.